Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome again to Penguin Live TV. My name is Stephen. I'm going to be your host for this evening, showing you all the penguins that are coming home tonight. Now, I'm going to be following the penguins around with these cameras, trying to show you the interesting things that they get up to tonight. So stay tuned and please ask your questions tonight. We do love them. Now, I do want to introduce our producer this evening. Her name is T, and she's joining me.
Hey everybody, welcome to the fabulous Penguin Parade.
And T's going to be looking at your comments on YouTube or Facebook, wherever you're watching us from. She'll try to answer them by typing out the answers, and she might ask a few tonight for me to answer. So don't be shy. Put those questions to us because we love to know what you are interested in, and we want to make this a fun night for you as well. Now, as you're looking out right now, you're looking over the Summerlands Beach. This is where the Penguin Parade is situated. And if we were open, you folks could be coming down here watching these penguins yourselves in person. But we hope to see you here soon. We're hoping that we will be able to open in the not too distant future and welcoming you back with open arms. Now, on the screen, you might be able to spot a little white building. I'll just move the camera over to it. And inside that little white building above those main stands is our penguin counter. Now, her name is Emma, and she's joined by Linda again tonight. And they will be in charge of counting all the penguins that cross this beach. Now, the beach that you're looking at, as I said, is the Summerlands Beach here on Phillip Island. And I do want to take this moment to acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land, the Bunurong people of the Kulin Nation, and pay my respects to their elders, both past, present, and emerging. And I'd also like to acknowledge a country where you may be visiting or watching us from, and pay my respects to the traditional owners of that land as well. Now, this area on Phillip Island is a very, very special place. It is home to the penguins, the little penguins. Now, the little penguins are the smallest penguins in the world. They've been known by a few different names over the time. People used to call them the fairy penguins. We call them the little penguins. And that's a bit more scientific to call them the little penguins. Now, in the past, they used to be called the fairy penguins after the mythical creatures, the fairies who have those wings. They fly around and they sprinkle their fairy dust that you hear in those fantasy stories. But our penguins are not mythical creatures. They are real little creatures that are coming home tonight. And we wanted to get away from mysticizing our penguins. So the fairies that you may know from those mythical tales are always known for coming out at nighttime, which is why people used to call our penguins the fairy penguins, because our penguins also come out at night. But rest assured, there's nothing fairy-like about our penguins. They cannot fly like a fairy does, and they don't have wings. They have flippers, which are slightly different, and they definitely don't smell fairy-like. They have quite an odious smell, a bit of a unpleasant odor to them. So rest assured, when you come back to visit us in person, you'll be well aware that our penguins are definitely not fairies, which is why we call them the little penguins. It's closer to their scientific name, Eudiptula minor, which is Latin for the good little diver. And being that they are the smallest penguins in the world, we call them the little penguins. Now, these penguins are about 33 centimeters tall, just over a foot in height, and they weigh about a kilogram in weight, or just over 2 pounds. And because they're the smallest penguins in the world, they're also the only species of penguins that come out at nighttime. And the reason for that is because in the daytime, there are predators. There are big birds of prey out flying around in the daytime, looking for small animals to have for dinner. And our penguins have become clever over the years, over the generations. They know it's not safe to step out of the water onto land when those big scary birds of prey are flying around. So they are waiting for the sun to go down, and they're waiting for the sky to get dark. And once it is dark enough, our penguins are going to be coming out of the water and crossing this beach on a journey home. And I'm going to show you that start of the journey. They will be coming out of the water almost magic-like. It's a bit hard to spot them on the ocean, so they'll appear and we'll watch them crossing the beach, and we'll be able to see the start of their journey home. Now, here on Phillip Island, Here at the Penguin Parade on Phillip Island, we are part of the Phillip Island Nature Parks. We are a not-for-profit conservation organization. And the work we do here is really important in helping to protect our penguins, but also quite a few other native species that are living here on Phillip Island. We have the Koala Conservation Reserve, where we are taking care of a few of the koalas that have been impacted by those bushfires we had earlier this year from Eastern Australia. And we're rehabilitating them in our Koala Conservation Reserve, hoping to release them back into the wild once they get better. We also take care of about 1,800 hectares of land, which is a very large piece of land here in Australia. It's about the second largest natural attraction anywhere in Australia. Now, this is going to be very special because there's not just the penguins, we also have the Cape Barren geese. They're large gray birds that you might see strolling around tonight. We also have a critically endangered eastern barred bandicoot that calls Phillip Island a new home. These bandicoots are a very special story to us at the nature parks because they went extinct in the wild. Now, Zoos Vic did an amazing job of helping to breed up these bandicoots. They got down to about 19 adults left in the world. And Zoos Vic, being very passionate about animals, started breeding them up as well, and they wanted to release them into safe locations. And we offered up Phillip Island because we are fox-free. Some of the work we've done here is getting rid of invasive pests like feral cats and foxes, and we got rid of the last fox a few years ago. And after we got rid of the last fox, we decided this would be a nice area to introduce the eastern barred bandicoots and help them get off that extinct in the wild list and upgrade them to critically endangered. And it's been a really big success. We started releasing them on Churchill Island. Their numbers started to grow and grow. Then we released them onto Phillip Island, and they are doing very well. They're having lots of babies, and we're hoping we see really positive results from all of our efforts to help bring them back from the verge of extinction. Now, if you wanted to help us in our conservation efforts, there's something very easy that you can do. You can head to our Penguin Foundation. There should just be a link just below the video description with a link to the Penguin Foundation where you can adopt a penguin. Now, the Penguin Foundation is our charity organization. It is set up to fund a lot of things that we do here, like research, revegetation, conservation, and taking care of any of our sick animals that end up in our wildlife clinic. We do have a bit of a wildlife clinic here on site by the Penguin Parade, where we do keep any of our injured penguins that we see, and we take them into our clinic, make sure that they can heal up safe and sound before we release them back into the wild. But it's not just for our penguins, it's for any other animals that might be suitable to put there. So I'm just going to scan around now because I've been noticing it's getting a little bit darker and darker. And I just want to see if we can spot a raft of penguins that might be coming in tonight. Now, a raft of penguins, you might be wondering, what's a raft of penguins? Well, a raft of penguins is a group of penguins that's out on the ocean. And it's like those rafts that you take out onto the water that float up on the surface of the water, because a group of penguins, before they come home, they are going to be gathering up into large groups, or a raft. And there is safety in numbers for our little penguins. So it's very important that they find the biggest groups they can and try to cross this beach with the safety of numbers. It's nice to have a few of your fellow penguins around you to help spot any potential late night birds of prey that might be flying around looking for a tasty meal before they have to go to bed for the night. Sorry, I'm just trying to get this camera into focus. It always has a bit of a hard time trying to focus on the waves because they keep moving. Now, it's still fairly bright outside, so I might try zooming in and looking in the distance because I believe our penguins will be a few hundred meters off the shore. And right now, they're all sitting on those rafts. Their heads are just above the sea level, looking around for any predators. You might see little black spots out there. That would be a raft. They sit fairly low in the water. It's nice to have as little as possible showing in case there are any sea eagles around looking for a tasty meal. But our penguins will be coming closer and closer to the shoreline as it gets darker and darker. Now, these are the only penguins in the world that come home after sunset. There's about 17 other species of penguins here on planet Earth. And the other species of penguins are not too fussed if they come out in the day or night. They don't have to worry about too many predators on land, but for our little penguins, there are definitely predators on land that they need to worry about. But have no fear, our penguins should be fairly safe. They do wait until it's dark enough. They want to make sure that they get home safe and sound because at this time of year, we're entering into the breeding season, which is our favorite time of year here on Phillip Island. Our penguins are getting into all types of shenanigans at nighttime. Now, some of our penguins don't have a partner yet for the breeding season, so the males will be going home. They're going to be making their burrows nice and beautiful for our penguins, nice and beautiful for any potential partners, making sure that if they want to attract a mate, they have a nice home that they can raise a family in. Our penguins generally do not mate for life. They like to find new partners throughout their lives. They usually stay together for a few years before they have a divorce, and it is the lady's choice. Now, eventually, the penguins will get fed up with each other. The lady will get fed up with the husband, and she'll think, man, this penguin's not the same one I married a couple of years ago. It's time to move on, find a new penguin somewhere else. The male penguin does get to keep the house, but the female does get to find a better partner in a better burrow somewhere else. But they always make sure they stay together while they're raising their babies together. They're not bad parents. They want to make sure the babies have left the burrow before they get a divorce. And once the babies have left the burrows, they're not really welcomed back by the parents, even if they're still together. There's no millennials still sleeping in their parents' basements. They get kicked out when the babies are about 8 weeks of age, maybe 9 weeks of age. Just scanning this shoreline here to see if we can spot any penguins. This is where they like to come out on the pathway in front of us. Is just by those rocks on a bit of the left side of the screen. So keep your eyes open. Let's see if we can spot any penguins here. And don't forget to ask those questions while we're waiting. Last night our penguins came out at about 6:31. And we had, it was about 700 and, how many was it?
It was actually 527 penguins, Stephen.
Ooh, 527 penguins. So the numbers do change night after night, and we do need a penguin counter to help count all of our penguins coming home. So have a guess, think how many penguins might be coming home tonight. Usually when we're open, the rangers here like to have a bit of a lottery every night to see who can get the closest to the amount of penguins that come home. We always have a bit of a chocolate bar for the winner who managed to get the closest number. So 527 penguins last night. We've had a few nights of 600 and 700 penguins. I'm hoping we'll get a good number again tonight, but there's no guarantee because our penguins, they spend a lot of time on the ocean. About 80% of a penguin's life is spent on the water. And they are seabirds. They're much more at home on the water than they are on land. And our penguins spend so much time on the water that they can, in fact, sleep. And they do, in fact, sleep on the ocean. It's very important that penguins are buoyant on the water because they need to breathe the air. They cannot breathe underwater. So they float on the surface of the water and they have little, quick, short naps throughout the days and nights. Every time a penguin goes to sleep, it's a 4-minute sleep or less. But that means that they're not going to be in too much danger. They're not going to fall asleep on the ocean for 8 hours at a time. And in case a seal starts swimming by looking for a tasty meal, they'll be safe because they have those short naps. They'll be able to dive out of the way and get away from the seals. Here on Phillip Island, some people are wondering, do the seals that live here on Phillip Island eat our penguins? Because we have a big colony of Australian fur seals. They call Phillip Island our home, and they live a few kilometers in this direction where I'm starting to scan the camera. We won't be able to see them. You have to go around that corner a few kilometers down the road to Seal Rocks, where we have about, I think it's 20,000 Australian fur seals that call Seal Rocks their home, but they do not eat penguins, which is very lucky for our penguins because 20,000 hungry seals would cause a bit of damage to our penguin colony if they thought penguins were particularly tasty. But don't worry, Australian fur seals do not eat penguins. They're more prone to diving underwater, looking for food at the bottom of the ocean floor, Whereas our penguins, they don't spend much time on the bottom of the ocean. They like to be up on top of the surface of the water and doing quick, short dives down underwater to catch their fish before they come back to the surface. The types of seals that might eat a little penguin are the leopard seals or the long-nosed fur seals, but they don't have any large colonies too close to us here, so our penguins are pretty well protected from any maritime predators like those seals. All right, it's definitely getting darker and darker as the night goes on. I haven't heard from our penguin rangers who are our penguin counters yet if there's any penguins swimming into the water's edge. So we'll just have to be patient and build up the suspense as we're waiting for these penguins to come home. We'll try and scan across the sea line. Let us know in the comments if you can spot any rafts that we may have missed. It's beautiful scenery out here. I can't tell you how much we miss visiting you folks visiting us. We can share our passion with the penguins in person on a night to night. But if you wanted that real penguin parade experience, make sure you open your windows at home tonight, put on a jacket or a jumper, get a nice little hot chocolate in your hands. It's a bit of a chilly night here tonight, but that's perfectly fine for our penguins. They are well suited to colder climates. All right, I'm just going to zoom really quickly. I just heard that we might have birds at the water's edge over in this direction. So let's try and zoom out. Let me know if you can spot them. I haven't seen them just yet. They're usually around these rocks. Where is Emma looking? Sometimes our penguins swim up to the water's edge and then they run away a little bit before they come back out. So I'll just scan around, see if I can spot any penguins. But on the plus side, somebody has seen some penguins, so we'll just have to be patient and see where they're coming from.
And there's even a couple of viewers that have spotted a couple of rafts just offshore as well. So keep watching, everybody. They won't be far away.
Some of our viewers have spotted the rafts. Well, I think you folks need to apply here at the Penguin Parade. You've got better eyes than I do. Might need to update my prescription, because I sure haven't seen a penguin just yet. But good on you for spotting those rafts of penguins. They're a bit tricky to spot in the ocean. Now, I've been working here at the Penguin Parade for about 5 years now. And I like to think I've gotten better at spotting penguins in the water, but some nights I struggle to be able to spot them. Now, I first joined the Penguin Parade 5 years ago because I do have a passion for the environment. I love animals. I love the environment. I've always enjoyed being outside and experiencing the wilderness in person. And I found this job because I actually visited the Penguin Parade and realized that all of the penguins that are coming home each and every evening are wild animals. These are not trained birds. We do not feed these birds. We do not take care of them. We let them be as wild as we possibly can, and they choose to come home. So if our penguins decided one day that they no longer wanted to live here on Phillip Island, they could get up, they could leave, and that would be out of our control. We do not force our penguins to stay here. What we do is we give them a suitable place to call home on land, and they choose to live here. And they've been living here on Phillip Island long before we were in Australia, since forever, really. And the reason they love Phillip Island so much is that just off the shore, if I look up a little ways, you might see that body of water in the distance. That is the Bass Strait, and it is a very fertile piece of water with lots and lots of plants and fish out there, and our penguins need a good access to food. And that food is just off the shore there where they catch lots of little fish like anchovies or pilchards, baby fish, squid. They'll even eat jellyfish. when they get hungry out on the ocean. So there's lots of food for them out there, and they are very much happy to call Phillip Island their home because it's a great piece of land where lots of them can live here safely. Well, I might have some words with Emma later tonight. She got me all excited that there were penguins on the water's edge here at Penguins Plus, but they've all run away before I got to have a good look at them.
Hey Stephen, I've got a question from Grace, who's 11. She wants to know, how do the penguins protect themselves from the predators?
Well, penguins, when they're on the ocean, are very well suited for protecting themselves because they are perfectly camouflaged on the ocean. Ooh. I'll get back to your question, Grace, who is 11 years old. I just saw a first group of penguins here, but don't worry, I'll try to remember. If not, T will nudge me and remind me to answer your question. Lovely. So there's our first little group for the evening, which is really exciting. Let's see if I can zoom in on them. I'm sorry if I'm a bit out of focus. There we go. Look at that group of penguins crossing the beach. Isn't that beautiful? Now, I want you folks at home to try and count these penguins. I'm a bit zoomed in right now, but do your best. See how many penguins are waddling over these rocks right now. So these penguins came in a bit later than last night. The official start to our count time was around 6:35, 6:36. And last night they started crossing the beach at 6:31. And as we're approaching summertime, the sun is going down later and later each evening. So we do expect our penguins to show up later and later. And once daylight savings starts to change for us, they'll be coming in that hour later. So you'd have to be up late at night to see our penguins coming home. I just love watching these guys scrambling over the rocks. They have a very low center of gravity, so don't worry if they fall. They don't have far to fall, being such little penguins. Oh, that guy just stumbled there, tripped over his own feet. Now, a few of them are sitting on the rocks there. They're not moving too much in the top left of the screen, but you can see others. They're definitely keen to keep their journey going. Let's follow these guys. It's a bit of a fun experience watching them on their way home. So they're looking around, making sure that it is safe on the land. Ooh, they found this little pool just down here that they love to jump into to swim across. A few of our penguins have paused on the water's edge. They might not be used to this pool because it is a temporary pool. It's not here year round. We've had a lot of rain recently, and this pool is starting to dry up a little bit. Last night, our penguins are definitely swimming through this, and now some of them are just waddling through. Not quite deep enough to swim through anymore. Usually during our summer months when it's a bit warmer and a lot drier, we never see that pool showing up. It's usually only during the winter months after heavy rains that it shows up and we get to see these lovely penguins on their journey home, swimming partway on their journey home. So we got a nice little group of penguins here, all sticking together, all traveling together. Now, what's very interesting about these penguins is they might not even know each other. There is a chance they know each other. They could be family, could be a husband and wife traveling together on their journey home. But more often than not, these are groupings of convenience. These penguins are traveling together for safety. Oh, on the top right there, you might see a nice group waddling past our underground camera. Oh, these guys just disappeared behind the grass. I'm not sure I'll be able to follow them anymore. A couple of heads popping out there. Let's try zooming out, seeing if I can spot them. So with all the rains we've been getting, it's been very much a growing season for all of our native plants here. So it gets a bit tricky when our penguins disappear behind the bushes. And these penguins, they might be walking a long way home tonight. Some of them have to walk almost 2 kilometers to get home. I see a nice little group just coming out here by the underground area. So That glass to your left is the underground viewing area. It's an area where you can actually watch our penguins coming from, and you could be that close to our penguins if you do decide to come visit us again. All right, let's try and get back to the beach. We'll see if our penguins, ooh, still scanning, sorry, panning across there. We'll see if we can spot any more penguins. Ooh, looks like all of that group's already gone home. Isn't that amazing? All right, we'll go back to this little camera that shows the penguins waddling nice and close in front of us, and you can really get an up close and personal look of how much our penguins waddle when they walk. Now for you kids at home who are watching our little penguins, if you want to waddle like a penguin, there's a very easy trick on how to waddle. Jump up out of your seats, keep your legs perfectly straight, because penguins, they don't really have knees. I mean, they do have knees, but their knees are located inside of their torso, and their knees are completely fused together. So penguins cannot bend their knees. So for all practical purposes, penguins don't have usable knees. And if you wanted to waddle like a penguin, your legs perfectly straight, don't bend your knees. Try to walk around your room right now without bending your knees. And I bet you'll find the easiest way to walk without bending your knees is to waddle like a penguin. Look at these lovely guys on their journeys home. So they've been out fishing at least all day. At the very minimum, they've been there since the morning. Some of these penguins might be coming home. They caught a lot of fish on their one trip out. Other penguins might have been on the ocean quite a lot longer. Our penguins do sleep on the water. Ooh, a couple of penguins running away. Something spooked them. Look at that. Where'd you guys go? They got scared by a purple swamp hen. That is a little bit ridiculous, penguins. This is our purple swamp hen. Oh, if I can get him into focus, sorry. So this is a very small bird. It is a herbivore. You can see it plucking at the grass right there. It's not actually bigger than a penguin, not much bigger than a penguin, and I don't know why our penguins got scared. They're being a bit of a chicken there, our penguins, but don't worry, you can see this penguin above him. He's not too fussed. He knows this purple swamp hen's not a threat. And he's just wandering on by without a worry. Let's skip over to our other camera and watch these guys waddling past. Now, we can't wait to welcome you guys back here because it's such a fantastic experience being here in person to watch our penguins coming home every night. Now, unfortunately, our cameras cannot follow the penguins much farther up into the colony, but if you were here in person, you would be able to follow these penguins on our boardwalks. You might be able to follow them on their journey home. Oops, going in the wrong direction there on the camera. Let's try and zoom back. Sorry for the motion sickness I'm causing. Still getting used to all these camera controls. There we go. Got a nice little group of penguins right here. Let's try and zoom in on them and see what they're doing here on these rocks. We got this lovely penguin right here. He's preening his feathers. See if I can get him into focus. Oh, he's struggling a little bit. There we go. Bit of better focus there. So you can see he's reaching around to his tail. Penguins have an oil gland just above that tail right there. And they reach their beak around to that oil gland. They spread that oil all over their beak and they preen their feathers to help keep them waterproof. And there's nothing more important to a penguin than keeping waterproof out on the ocean. Ooh, what spooked you guys? Our penguins are a bit jumpy tonight. Something's in the colony that's spooking them. I'd be surprised if it is that purple swamp hen because purple swamp hens generally don't bother our penguins too much. Sometimes a Cape Barren goose might scare a penguin. A Cape Barren goose is quite a large bird, and while it is a herbivore, our penguins are quite terrified of any large bird. They don't want to be mistaking a bird of prey for a Cape Barren goose by accident, so they'll run away rather than risk their lives. When that fight or flight response kicks in for our penguins, out in the open on land, they're much more likely to take the flight. They love to run away rather than pick a fight on the open land because penguins are not the most agile on land. It's only when they get into the water or in the safety of their own homes. Ooh, come on, focus there, camera. There we go. That they appreciate defending themselves a little bit more. But when they're exposed like this out in the open, they're more likely to run away. You don't have to be too fast if you're a little penguin. You just have to be faster than the slowest penguin next to you. You can see lots more of this preening behavior going on these rocks. Penguins are making sure their feathers are nice and meticulous and well kept. One, to keep them waterproof, like I said, but also they want to make sure that they're attractive for their partners who might be waiting for them at home, or to make themselves attractive so when they get home, they can attract those partners. Because a scruffy penguin is not an attractive penguin. They would be less effective at fishing out on the ocean if they've got those scruffy feathers. Now, we do have a very big team of researchers here who work. Camera's gone out of focus again. We do have a very big team of researchers here on Phillip Island who help to study our penguins, and so we can learn more and more about them, to know what they like to eat and what they do here. We've been having researchers here since roughly 1968 when we had our first penguin study group. They came here originally just to count the penguins and to learn a few things. People started asking a couple of questions when they used to visit us back in the day. And the number one questions we used to get was, how long do penguins live for? Which is a very common question. Answer that one is about 7 years of age, give or take. And the oldest penguin we ever had here was almost 26 years old. I think it was 25 years and 11 months might be the answer. We like to say he was 26 years old. We just round up that last month. As a very old penguin, that penguin might have been a great-great-great-great-great grandfather. Oh, it's a wallaby. No wonder our penguins are scared. What are you doing, wallabies? Don't pick on our penguins. Cheeky little, oh, he gave that wallaby a peck. Oh my goodness. Now, wallabies are herbivores. They are not interested in eating the penguins. But our penguins are definitely watching this wallaby. That's a little wallaby right there, not too big. And people often ask us, are wallabies and penguins friends? Well, right there, ladies and gentlemen, you can see that they're clearly not enemies, but they're definitely cautious around one another. Oh, how special was that? It's not often you see wallabies get that close to our penguins. So here on Phillip Island, we have black swamp wallabies. They usually have a little white tip on the end of their tail. They're very special little creatures as well. Different than a kangaroo. Kangaroos are much larger. They're more social kangaroos. They form those mobs, whereas our wallabies prefer to live a bit more in isolation. Wow, all the action's happening tonight. Let's zoom out. What is scaring our penguins? I can't tell if it's that purple swamp hen right there. It'd be very bizarre for this little bird here to be scaring our penguins so much, but something has given our penguins a bit of a spook, and that's okay. As I said, they love to run away. Oh, I almost just missed this last little group walking in front of our burrow camera right there, but that's okay. We'll keep our eyes open and see what we can see. Alrighty. It's so exciting watching these penguins coming home every night. All right, so I believe T, was that the signal? We have 5 minutes left. All right, we got 5 minutes left in this stream, so please ask your questions. Remember, don't forget to donate to our Penguin Foundation. If you want to adopt a little penguin, and that is a symbolic adoption, you won't be able to take our penguins home with you. You will be able to help our conservation efforts, our revegetation, where we can make this a beautiful habitat for our penguins, and you'll be helping our penguin hospital as well. So just hit that link below. It's got lots of information about our penguins. You can learn about what it is to adopt a little penguin. And believe me, you do not want to actually take one of these penguins home with you. They are not the nicest creatures in the world to have as pets. I couldn't tell you from experience. I've never had a penguin as a pet. but I have had to take an injured penguin into our wildlife hospital, and they bite a lot. They are carnivores, and their bite is quite sharp. Those little beaks can cause a fair amount of damage to your poor hands, and penguins are notorious poopers as well. Now, a bit interesting story about behind penguins and their poo is that when a penguin is at home on land in the daytime, they can't go outside to go to the bathroom. And the reason for that is there are predators outside of their burrows in the daytime, so they're going to stay in the safety of their homes. They don't want to go to the bathroom inside of their burrows because that would be disgusting and smelly and very unpleasant. So what penguins do when they want to go to the bathroom in the daytime is they waddle up to the entrance of their burrow. Let's see if I can show you where we have a burrow here. Sorry for the zoom. I'm going to scroll really quickly and try and show you a burrow and what it might look like. I'll give you an interest. So right here we have a penguin burrow. You can see a big 2/60 on this burrow. And right in the center of the camera between the grass, you might see a little entrance into that burrow. And that big box at the back is where the penguins will be inside. They can stand up in there. But if they want to go to the bathroom, they're going to waddle up their little bums to the entrance of that burrow. They're going to stick their bums out and they're going to shoot their poo as far as they can. And penguins can shoot their poo almost 3 lengths of their body. So they can shoot their poo some great distance. They've got some of the most highest hydraulic force behind their poo of any animal in the animal kingdom. And that's to help keep their burrows clean. So no, you do not want one of our penguins as a pet. They will make an awful mess in your house. So a better idea, why don't you adopt one of our penguins symbolically and you can give them a safe place to call home here on Phillip Island. Do we have any more questions from our viewers, T? No, you've been asking lots of questions. I'm sorry we don't get to them all the time, but we're going to do our best.
One quick question. How fast can penguins swim?
Oh, that's a good question. How fast do penguins swim? Well, you might have seen a few of our penguins swimming in this little ephemeral pool we have right here. They're not too fast. They're doing about 2 or 4 kilometers an hour in this little pool. That's a cruising speed for penguins where they're not putting too much effort into their swim. But when they're out in the ocean fishing and they're trying to catch some fish, they've got to sprint out in the water. And they can hit speeds of about 6 or 7 kilometers an hour, which is a bit faster than most swimmers can do, Olympic swimmers can do in the swimming pools. So our penguins, despite being only 33 centimeters fast, despite being 33 centimeters tall, are very fast. And that's a good thing for them because they are carnivores. They need to catch their prey, and if they were slow swimmers, they'd never be able to get any food. And it doesn't hurt being a fast swimmer when you're such a small creature out on the ocean, because there are other bigger animals out there that might be looking at you as a tasty meal. Lovely. So we just have a couple of minutes left, which is a bit of a shame, but the penguin numbers have started to die down a little bit. These last little penguins are going on their journey home. And it's about time for us, myself and T, to start heading home as well. It's getting towards the end of the night. And I know I have a warm dinner waiting for me at home. I hope some of you have been enjoying our stream. Please tune in again tomorrow. We'll be doing this every night for the foreseeable future. And I'm sorry if we didn't get to your questions, but tune in again tomorrow night. Ask your questions again. Hopefully we'll be able to answer them over the coming days and weeks. And we can't wait to see you back here at the Penguin Parade when we do get to open again. But for the time being, thank you so much for tuning in. And I hope you had a wonderful evening with us. Thanks.